Indistractable by Nir Eyal. The reason behind today's distraction problem is not technology, but unpleasant feelings like boredom or discomfort. Controlling internal triggers by learning to cope with these uncomfortable feelings and making tasks less unpleasant will reduce your desire to seek out distractions. To stay on track, utilize pre-commitments and make pacts with yourself or friends to hold yourself accountable. Limiting external distractions like email, chats, meetings, and distracting apps will also help make you indistractable. Distractions at work can also be caused by a dysfunctional work culture which eats into employees' free time and leaves them stressed and distracted. To create an indistractable company culture, employees must be able to voice their concerns to management. By teaching your children techniques to manage internal and external triggers, you can help them manage their time on digital devices and empower them to be indistractable too. What causes distraction? Technology often gets a bad rap when it comes to distraction, but it can't take all of the blame. Distraction is a much deeper problem than a simple addiction to digital devices, and even without technology, humans have always found ways to distract themselves. Distraction is caused by triggers, both internal and external. External triggers are stimuli from the outside world that interrupt our thoughts, such as a pop-up on our screens. Internal triggers are the result of our internal moods and feelings, such as boredom or stress. Both types of triggers can be catalysts for traction, which moves us forward and helps us be productive, or distraction, which detracts from our ambitions and takes us away from accomplishing our goals. Therefore, technology cannot be the only culprit. The problem has always been within ourselves. When we are uncomfortable or upset, we seek out distractions as a means of escaping our thoughts. Technology is merely an easy scapegoat to help us avoid looking at our deeper problems. However, while discomfort is, uncomfortable, it is also an evolutionary necessity. Our ancestors would not have been able to accomplish all that we have accomplished if they had not been discontent with where they were. Our brains are wired to feel discomfort because it is what prompts us to grow and change. But in modern times, it can make us prone to lingering on negative feelings, which drives us to seek out distractions. Controlling internal triggers. All too often, people will seek out distractions, like going on social media or checking their email, at the first hint of boredom or discomfort. These actions are driven by internal triggers, but internal triggers can be changed by adjusting our thinking. One of the best ways to change your thinking is to write down your feelings. Whenever you feel distracted, write down your emotions and what caused them instead of reaching for a distracting device. For example, if you suddenly became overwhelmed with feelings of anxiety, by writing it down, you might find that it was triggered by something your boss said. If you do this every time these feelings occur, you will soon be able to recognize what your triggers are, which can help you take control of them. The psychologist Jonathan Bricker suggests another technique. He advises utilizing visualization to help you control your tasks. For example, you could imagine yourself sitting by a stream and picture all your distractions floating away on the water. Another method of controlling internal triggers is simply avoiding discomforting feelings by making your tasks more fun. Many digital devices are designed to be distracting precisely because they appeal to our brain's inherent attraction to challenges and rewards. You can apply that same technique to your work, which will make the tasks more engaging. For example, you can turn your work into a game by setting challenges, such as trying to complete a task in a certain amount of time, which can make it more fun. Another significant part of controlling distraction is simply telling yourself that you are capable of controlling it. What we tell ourselves has a big effect on how we see ourselves, so by telling yourself that you are capable of practicing control, you make it more likely to be true. However, if you tell yourself you have no self-control, that will also become true. So the way you talk to yourself is important. It is important to show compassion to yourself. Avoid negative self-talk and don't beat yourself up if you find yourself succumbing to distraction. Instead, tell yourself you do have the power and self-control to avoid distractions. Make a plan for your time. Many people fall prey to distraction because they don't have a clear goal in mind. If you don't have a clear idea of what you want to achieve, then you won't be able to pinpoint what is holding you back. It is important to create a plan to help you get clarity on your goals and understand the best way to allocate your time. The most effective way to plan out your time is through a method called time boxing. When time boxing, you should set aside specific time slots throughout the week that are dedicated to specific tasks. While not every task will fit into every slot at first, it will still provide an effective framework for you to take control of your time. Without a strong framework in place, you won't have a strong method of managing your time, which makes it difficult to achieve success. However, the most important tasks to schedule are not your work tasks, but your personal tasks. It is important to set aside quality time in your schedule for self-care, because if you are not taking care of yourself, you won't be successful in any other area of your life in the long run. So the first and most important time slots to set aside in your schedule are slots for a good night's sleep, exercise, healthy food, and other self-care activities. The second most important items to schedule are your relationship slots. Personal relationships are an essential part of your life, so it is important to prioritize them. This means ensuring you schedule time to spend with people you care about, and set aside time slots for activities such as get-togethers with friends and date nights with your spouse. The last slots you should fill in should be your work time slots. While many people do not necessarily have the power to set their own working hours, they do often have the power to control how they use those hours they are in the office. For example, you can schedule deep thinking time in the morning and set aside a time slot in the afternoon for reading and responding to emails. If necessary, you can make your time slots public so your colleagues know when they should schedule meetings with you and when you should be left alone to complete solo work. Controlling external triggers. No matter how well you work to control your internal triggers and manage your time, external triggers will still come up. The most important step you can take to manage these triggers is to determine which parts of your day are the most essential for completing your goals and making yourself indistractable during these times. For example, in the 1980s, the airline industry set a new regulation that barred other staff members from distracting pilots during takeoff and landing, which made flights safer. You can adopt a similar practice in your own work by setting a clear signal to your colleagues that you should not be interrupted during certain times. The signal can be anything from a card set on your desk to a hat, as long as colleagues know that when it is visible, you are not to be distracted for any reason. The modern office is full of distractions. One of the biggest outside distractions many people face at work is email. People receive around 100 messages a day on average, and because emails come randomly throughout the day, people are motivated to keep checking their email because it activates the reward system in their brain. However, that impedes productivity, so managing email is one of the best things you can do to boost your indistractability. Instead of sporadically checking your email, break your email into two categories: emails that require an immediate response and those that can wait. To prevent unnecessary distraction, only sort through the emails in the first folder and time box a slot in your schedule to go through the second folder as you would any other task. Meetings are another big source of distraction, and they often take up a lot of time. However, good organization can help fix this problem. You should make it a point to only attend meetings that are well organized with a clearly stated policy, a detailed agenda, and clearly documented steps that have already been taken. If everyone is prepared, then the meetings will be fruitful and not take up too much time unnecessarily. Similarly, group chats on apps such as Slack can also be distracting, so you should make it a point to tell your coworkers you will not be keeping up with them throughout the day. Instead, set aside a specific time to check these channels and catch up with chats. Another big office distraction is the internet. Articles and news feeds can draw you away from your goals. Rather than feeling the need to constantly check the news, you should use an app such as Pocket to save articles that you find interesting. Then you can employ their text-to-speech function and listen to these articles while accomplishing other tasks, such as exercising or commuting. Other apps can help you control your time online. For example, Audiobook replaces your Facebook feed with your to-do list, and DFTube makes YouTube's suggested videos invisible. Finally, it is also worth taking the time to manage the apps on your phone and desktop. Clear out any apps that you do not use regularly, keep the necessary apps that you regularly use easily accessible, and move distracting time wasters like social media apps to the last page or delete them completely. Pre-commit to prevent distraction. Avoiding distraction is a continuous process, and there are plenty of tricks that you can use daily to keep you on track and committed to your goals. An effort pact can help you avoid distractions by making distracting behaviors more difficult to do. For example, you can use an app like Self-Control to block websites you are prone to wasting time on. Friends can also be a great tool to help avoid distractions. They can help hold you accountable, and you can arrange to meet with a study buddy at a specific time to focus on work together. Apps like FocusMate can also help pair you up with a study buddy if you do not have one nearby. A price pact can also hold you accountable by charging you whenever you do not accomplish a previously specified goal. For example, you could arrange a pact where you will be fined $100 every time you skip the gym, which gives you a huge incentive not to miss your sessions. Another effective pre-committal pact is the identity pact. This involves shifting your image of yourself so it aligns with the goal you want to accomplish. For example, if you are trying to give up meat, it might be difficult to accomplish if you only focus on what you can't have anymore. However, if you begin to define yourself as a vegetarian, that will become a part of your identity. Similarly, if you define yourself as indistractable, then you will begin to see yourself as well and act accordingly. Not every pact will be useful for every commitment, so it is important to take a close look at each goal you want to accomplish and understand which pact will be the most effective at helping you meet each goal. Distraction is a symptom of dysfunction. Work cultures that are dysfunctional will have problems with distraction. Disorganized companies will mismanage employees' time and promote a culture of distraction rather than productivity. For example, many employers now require their employees to constantly be on call, answering phone calls and emails even in their off hours. While it is an expected part of the job, it is a symptom of poor management that cuts into employees' free time and will quickly burn out workers and leave them stressed and distracted. Instead of allowing poor management to take over, companies should listen to their workers. The best way to do this is to create a platform where they can safely and anonymously express their concerns. For this to work, the most important thing is employees are protected and know they will not be punished for speaking their true opinions. Otherwise, they will not speak up. It is up to a company's leaders to ensure workers feel safe, and they can do that by cultivating a culture of open and honest feedback and admitting their own mistakes when they make them. Leaders drive the company culture, and it will only be distractible if the leaders do not create a positive work culture that emphasizes learning and rewards taking risks. For example, Slack has a very functional workplace culture. It utilizes its own app to host a channel where workers can vent about the company and management without fear of repercussions. Management is also responsive and alerts their employees that their concerns are being heard and addressed. Raising the next generation of indistractable kids. Distractibility isn't simply an adult problem anymore. These days, kids are more glued to technology than ever, but that is also the symptom of a larger problem. According to human behavior researchers Richard Ryan and Edward Deci, children over-rely on technological stimulation because certain important psychological needs are not being met. Children need three key things to thrive: autonomy, the freedom to learn and improve, and the ability to form meaningful connections with others. However, many children are not getting these psychological needs met offline. They are often restrained by rules at school and at home, where rigid structure and overdependence on tests restrict their autonomy, stifles their creativity, and fails to stimulate their imaginations. Many kids are also not permitted to roam their neighborhoods freely and spend unstructured time with friends their age. Since they cannot form meaningful relationships in real life, they are forced to look online, which is the last free space they have where they can practice autonomy and enjoy unstructured time with friends. Therefore, the problem is not technology. The problem is in their offline lines. In order to get your kids away from their technological devices, you should ensure that you are meeting their psychological needs offline. First, you should give them plenty of unstructured time with friends, which is an essential part of kids' development. One way to do this is to arrange regular play dates with other parents and their kids. Children should also be allowed to have a say in how they spend their time, which will give them a sense of autonomy. You can cultivate a sense of indistractability in them by explaining to them some of the pitfalls of technology, telling them about internal and external triggers, guiding them towards managing their distractions, and empowering them to make their own decisions regarding how much time they should be spending on digital devices. You can also teach them to make their own commitment pacts, such as setting a timer to track the time they spend online. The main takeaway. Many people want to blame technology for today's distraction problem, but the real problem is caused by internal and external psychological triggers that drive people to seek out distractions. Learning to cope with boredom and discomfort can help reduce people's internal desire to distract themselves, while removing external triggers like checking email throughout the day, holding lots of unproductive meetings, or keeping distracting apps on your phone will also help make them indistractable. Empowering your children with these techniques will help them become indistractable and reduce their reliance on digital devices.
Hi, I'm Rhonda, and this is an exclusive audiobook video recorded for the Audiobook Master Channel. Enjoy your audiobook and have fun learning. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you'll get updated on our next upload. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and say your thoughts about the book we just covered. Do you want to listen to a summary or review of a book that we haven't covered in the past? Say it in the comments below or send us a message. Don't forget to check our other uploads. Enjoy listening!